Hello everyone. This is SQL Workbench, and I'm going to be teaching you how to do data analysis using SQL Workbench. So I'm going to be importing the data set into SQL Workbench. And first of all, before we do that, we need to take some basic steps before we can proceed in doing our analysis properly. So we need to import a data set, so we can use that data set to practice on our skill in SQL using different queries. First thing we need to do is we need to create a database. So how do we create a database in Excel? So create a database. So create database, and the name of that database is let's say we want to create new database. So that's the name of our database. So we are going to highlight and execute our query or our code. So we have created a new database. So if you notice that your database is not actually coming up in your schema, what you can actually do to that effect is you can refresh your schema. So our new database is actually coming up. Now, if you are going to click on this drop down, you can see that we don't have a database, sorry, a table under our database. So what we are going to do is we need to import a data set into our database. So what we are going to do is we are going to click on the table, then right click, then we now go to table data import wizard. So we click on it. So here we can actually select any data set we want to import into my SQL Workbench. Now, mind you, now Excel does not work with my SQL Workbench. What you can do is you can actually get a CSV file, or you can change your Excel to CSV files. And now you can now look for the data set that we want to work with. So we are going to be using this brand data set for Excel for today's for this video. So I'm going to open. I'll click on next. So I want, this is the name of the database. This is the database we're working with. Or we can select any of the database in our schema. But we are going to work with this one that we created ourselves. That's the new database. And we can now rename our table. So I can rename our table as brand data set. So now click on next. So we have this. So there's no much thing to actually change here. All we can do is we click on next as well. So we can now import our data set into our SQL Workbench. So wait for few seconds so our data can actually import into our SQL, which it has actually done. So we click on next. So we have 969 records imported. So that's correct. So we can click on finish. Now if we're going to refresh our schema, we have tables. Now we have our brand data table inside our schema under our table, and our table is under our new database. Now before we start doing data analysis, we need to know a keyword use in our data set. So this use is used to select a particular database that you actually want to work with. So I need to select use new database. Or if I don't want to go through this long route, I just come here and select my database. So from here now we can now start doing our analysis with our query in my SQL Workbench. So the first thing we need to do is we need to see how our table or our data set actually looks like in my SQL Workbench. So how do we do that? We use the select star from where? From brand data. So we need to select star. So that star means select all from brand data. So I'm going to highlight. So this shows me how my data set actually looks like. So it contains everything in that data set that we actually imported from our CSV file into our SQL Workbench. So we can see how everything looks like. Now from now we can now continue um, doing our analysis with our data set. So first thing, we are going to be getting a lot of things in this video, but first thing we want to get is the total revenue from this particular data set. Now this is not a Power BI, or this is not my SQL Workbench. I'm sorry, this is not Excel table and pivots where we can actually select in our chart field. So in this case now we are working with SQL Workbench. So we are going to be writing codes. We can also call them queries. So we're going to be writing codes to actually get our result in this case, compared to how we actually do Power BI and Excel worksheet pivot table and pivot chart. So first thing we need to get is to get our total revenue. Now we are going to be using comment in this video so we can understand every line of code that we are actually writing. Now what does comment do? Comment is something that my SQL Workbench does not really understand. It is only understandable to human like us. So whenever I do something, let me say I want to get total revenue, okay. So I can easily highlight my total revenue and I'll press my control and slash. So it makes it a comment for me actually. Now only me understands what I'm actually doing because my SQL Workbench does not understand comment. It sees that line 5 as if there's nothing there, just like line 4. Now it is only me that understand, okay, there's something there actually. So what I'm actually doing is I want to be able to come back to my code after a very long time, and I should be able to understand what I've actually done there at that point in time. So what I'm actually doing is whenever I write my code down below, then I should go to my top. I should go to the top of my code and I'll see total revenue. I will understand that, okay, fine, I'm trying to work with total revenue. Now, again, how you can make your code a comment is I'll say total revenue. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight my total revenue and I hold my control and press my slash. So it makes it a comment for me. But that is not what we are actually going to do now. We have already done that here in line 5. So the next thing we want to do is to actually get our total revenue. Now, how do we get our total revenue? Now, in SQL, there are lots of keywords that we're actually going to be using, particularly in this video. The first one of them is select. So I'll say select, then I'll use sum. Sum is also a keyword in SQL. I'll say sum. So I want you to sum up. Now, to get my total revenue, first of all, is price times order quantity. So it is price times order quantity. Price times order quantity. I'll say sum, then I'll say price times order quantity. It's going to be QTY. Then I'll close my bracket as. Now, as is also a keyword in my SQL Workbench. It is going to be used to create headers for our actual result. Now, if I'm going to get total revenue, if I don't use this as, I'm just going to get the value as total revenue. But this as actually makes our result makes more sense to us, so we can understand what we're actually trying to get at that point in time. So I'll say select price times order quantity. Now, what it's going to do for us is going to multiply the price column, this price column times the order quantity for us. Now, this sum is there just to help us to add up all the result that we're actually going to get from this multiplication. I repeat myself, I said this price times order quantity is going to multiply the price column times the order quantity. For example, this price is 12.99 times 20. It's going to multiply them together and it's going to add up everything that we have here together. So this price times order quantity is going to multiply every column, this times this. Then now this sum is going to add up every result that has actually been gotten from this calculation. Then as total revenue, so I'll say total revenue. Then from where? From brand data. And from brand data. So we have this. So everything I'm actually going to do, this calculation as total revenue, then from brand data. So everything is going to be gotten from the data set, the table brand data. So I can now highlight and execute my code. And mind you are going to be getting a lot of errors in your code. So if you are having errors in your SQL code, it is normal for you to have errors in your code. Now, all you need to do is know how to debug your error and how to correct them. So it is one skill to know how to write queries. It's another skill to know how to debug queries, how to correct your mistakes. So that's for total revenue. So we are getting our total revenue as what as this. So this as is what we use to get our total revenue. So this as is going to be used frequently in this video. So it is our header, which is what you are seeing on your screen right now. So that's the first thing we are going to get today. So the second thing we are going to get is the cost of sales and total cost of sales. Total cost of sales. So if I select start from, if I highlight this, I have total cost. This is cost of sales. So I want to calculate all the cost of sales in my data set. I want to sum everything up in my data set. So what I'm going to do is I'll say total cost of sales. total cost of sales, and I'm going to highlight it or highlight it. So I can come down here and now write my query. So I'm going to use the keyword select again. Select, and I'm going to say sum, then cost of sales. Cost of sales. I'll cover my bracket. Then I'll say as total cost of sale. I'll say total cost. Then from my table, the name of my table, brand data. So I can have it like this. So cost of sales. Now this sum is going to add everything up to for us as total cost. So total cost is going to be used as our header in our results. So I'm going to highlight and execute. So we have our total cost of sales as this value. So everything is actually like working perfectly. But if you have errors, like I said earlier, it is normal for you to have errors in your query. Now it is one skill to be able to write query or codes, and it's another thing to be able to debug them. So that's the first one. Now we go to the third thing that we want to do, which is the total profit in our data set. So we get total, we write total profit. So we're going to highlight and make it a comment. Now we're actually making this thing a comment. So if I leave this code now and come back to it after 3 months, or even if I have loss of memory and I come back to this code, I see total revenue. I would usually undergo. I was trying to get total revenue for this particular data set. Here I was trying to get total cost of sales, and here I was trying to get total profit. So that is basically what comment do for us. So that's for total profit. So the next one we want to do is total profit. So I'm going to be using select, the keyword select again. So I'll select sum. So I'll sum up. So to get total profit, it is price times order quantity. Price times order quantity. Price times order quantity minus cost of sales. Minus cost of sales. So I'm going to close my bracket for that. Then I'm going to use as. So this formula is something you can actually get from ChatGPT. So it's not something you have to cram or okay, let me have to cram the total formula to get total profit and everything. No. It's something you go to ChatGPT and you can actually get this formula from it. So you can make everything much more easier for yourself. So we have select some price times order quantity minus cost of sale as say total profit. Total profit. Then from where? From the brand data. So everything is coming from the brand data that we actually imported earlier in this video. So I'm going to, so it's giving me an error saying that I have an error in my SQL syntax. Check your okay. So there's an error coming from somewhere in my code. Okay, so I've seen where the error is coming from. It's supposed to be a bracket, opening bracket here. So I'm going to do that. So I highlight my code again and execute. So it should be there. Like I said earlier, it's one thing to be able to write queries and another thing to be able to correct your mistakes if you make them. So you should have that at the back of your mind. So this is what we have as our total profit for that particular data set. So moving to the next one is we're going to get our revenue by product. So our total revenue by product. So I'm going to say revenue by product. So revenue by product, so I'm going to highlight everything on it and I'm going to make it a comment. So I'll move to the next line. So how do we get our revenue by product? So we're going to select the keyword select. Keyword select, then product name, comma, then sum. We're going to sum up price times order quantity. So price times order quantity is going to give us the revenue. So as what product revenue? So product underscore revenue. So we have so I go down and I say from brand data. So I want to group them now. I want to group by. So group by, what does group by actually mean to do for us in our query? Now, group by simply means if there are going to be two columns here, it is going to be one column here and another column here. Now, what is group by? I will say group by, then by what? Product name. I say product name. So what this means is there are going to be two columns, like I said. So product name is going to be here, and the total revenue for each of these products is actually going to be on the next column. So that is what group by will do for us. So the next one is order by. So I'm going to be order by product underscore revenue underscore revenue. So I'm going to now highlight my code and execute it. So I have product name and I have product name and I have what? Product revenue. So what this is I've gotten all my products and I've gotten all the product revenue, the revenue I've gotten from each of the product I have in that data set is what we have actually gotten now. Now it is not what we did here that we did what the total revenue that we have. If you notice that we use the same formula that we used here, which is price times order quantity. So the only thing that is actually different from that is that we have our product name for the first column and our product revenue for the other column, which is correct. So this is what we have. So this descending is what is making our result look like this, because we have actually done from highest to lowest. So the highest product revenue is what we have here, which is what Contoso projector is what we have here. So it is 96,390. So that's the highest product that's actually giving us the most revenue. So that is what we have actually done here. So we are going to do revenue by brand. So I'm going to select this so we can actually see that we have brand. Okay, we have brand name in our data set. We have what we call brand name in our data set. So we are going to do that next. So the next one is I'm going to do revenue by brand So I'm going to highlight this and I'll make it a comment. So I'm going to use the keyword select again. So I'm going to select brand name. So the brand name, comma, sum. So it's going to be order price times order quantity, order QTY. So I close my bracket as, so we can name this one as brand revenue. So we say brand revenue. Then from brand data, then group by brand name. So I make it a small letter, brand. So brand name, then order by. So everything can actually be written on one single line of code. But basically, why I actually write my code like this is so I can actually correct my errors. It makes me correct my errors easily. So if you write it on a straight line, it does not mean you are wrong. So you can decide to write on a straight line. You can also decide to write it like this as well. So I prefer to write my queries in SQL like this. So it makes it much more easier for me to interpret my code and see where I have errors and easily correct them. So continuing with that, so order by brand name, brand revenue, brand underscore revenue. So this DESC simply means descending. So I'm going to highlight my code and execute it. So I have my brand name. So this is the brand with the highest revenue. So this is Adventure Works, and it is giving us about 9.3 million if I'm not mistaken. So that is how to get your brand revenue by brand name in your data set. So the next one we're going to do is we're going to get the profit by state. So we're going to get profit by state. So I'll say profit by state. So I'm going to highlight now. Control slash. I'll make it a So we have profit by state. Now profit by state. So how do we get the profit by state? So we're going to use the keyword select again. So select state, comma, sum. Then we now say order, you say price times order quantity, order QTY. So I'll close my bracket. So to get profit, it's price times order quantity minus cost of sales. So I'll say minus cost of sales, close my bracket, as profit. Profit by state. So I want it to be like this. Profit by state. And from where? From the brand data. So that's where we are actually going to get this result from this particular data set. Then group by state. So state is going to be contain one column, and the profit by state is going to be on the other column. So group by profit by state. So GESC descending. So for ascending is always going to be like this, but for this video we're going to be working more with descending. So I'll put my semicolon there. Then I'm going to highlight and execute. So I have errors. So we'll see where that error is coming from. Okay, I can see that this is actually having a red line. So the brackets are not complete. So it is one of the mistakes that we made earlier in this video. So I'll close that bracket. Then I'm going to highlight and execute. So I'm having my profit by state. So I have all the states in the first column, and I have all the profit for each of the states in the other column. So it is giving us the highest to lowest. So the state that has the most profit in this data set is Imo State. So we have that. So that's for profit by state. So the next one we'll be looking at is total orders by state. So total orders by state. We have done profit by state. So the total orders by state. So I'm going to write total orders by state. So I'm going to highlight that and make the comment so we don't get confused. So this is total orders by state. So we are not going to write the query to get total orders by state. So we are going to use the keyword select state, comma. So in this case now we are going to use count instead of sum, because we want to count the total orders per state. We are not summing up these orders by state per state. We want to count how many orders actually came out from each of the states that we have in this data set. So we are going to be using count. So I'm going to open my bracket. Count order ID. Count the order ID for me as what? As total orders. Total orders. So I'll go to the next line here. From brand data, then I'm going to group by state, then order by, I'm going to order by total orders. Then I'll use something. Then I'm going to highlight my code and execute. So it is going to count the order ID for me. So I have orders. I have all the orders. Now we can see that Imo State has the highest order, which is 41. Nasarawa has the highest order, which is 35. Zamfara 35, Osun 35, and so on. So go to the last one. So this state has only 17 orders coming out from this state. So that is how we can actually get total orders by state. So moving on to the next one is the daily sales. So we want to get the daily sales from this particular data set. So we say daily sales. So I can highlight that and make it a comment. So to get our daily sales, we use the keyword select again. So select order date. Then I'm going to sum up price times order quantity, QTY, as daily sales as daily sales. Then from brand data, group by, I'm going to be using the group by order date. So order date is going to be in this first column, then order by daily sales, order by daily sales. So I can close that. So execute. So this is what we have. So we have the order dates in our data set. So all the order dates actually comes out in our data set, and we have the daily sales from each of the order dates that we have. So this particular day is what we actually made most of our sales. Actually made most of our sales. So moving on to the next one, which is average order value. So we have average order value. So you can highlight now and make it a comment, not execute. So average order value. So to get the average order value, it says select. So we're going to be using AVG, which is average. So it's the price times order quantity, order QTY as average